Today we're looking at Kanye West's new album, The Life of Pablo. Actually, right now, by the time I'm recording this, it's not actually new. It came out the 14th of February, I believe, earlier this year. But it's still a very relatable album because, it came out and it's produced and created by Kanye West, one of the biggest rappers. So, yeah. To be honest, after looking up other people's reviews of this album, I saw something very interesting. There are so many people who love this album, so many people think it's okay, other people hate it, and then there's also people who think it is amazing, like a masterpiece. And I started to wonder, why do people have so many different opinions about this album? Well, it might have something to do with the fact that Kanye puts out a completely new style here on this album. It's something we've never ever heard before. Kanye's first 3 or maybe even 4 albums that he came out with were centered more around basic old school beats. And the different songs on those albums had like a clear start and a clear finish. You could kind of figure out how the song would start and end, kind of. But as he went along with his career and he started to experiment more with his music, like on My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, he started to experiment more. We can hear this on the extensive, distorted, and heavily auto-tuned vocal track on Runaway, for example. The heavily auto-tuned yet beautifully crafted harmony on Lost in the World, we get another example of his creativity. Or, for example, in the last track, Who Will Survive in America, we also hear this in the way that he's sampling one of Gil Scott-Heron's spoken words. Further into the future, Kanye released Yeezus, which was a big leap into his void of creativity. He was a lot more intensive and a lot more aggressive in terms of his way of composing his music and just his rapping style in general. His creativity took a whole new direction with jarring songs such as On Sight, New Slaves, and I Am a God. And I kind of got a taste for this new style that Kanye came up with on this album. It was very unpredictable and in your face and very Death Grips inspired, if I would say so. But at the same time, if you listen to the whole album from start to finish, it sounds more like Kanye was tapping into a place that he was not so secure with. He was touching it in a very shallow way, and he didn't manage to put the album properly together, so it felt very unfinished in my ears. Now, if Yeezus was a good album, this is probably what it would sound like. The Life of Pablo, in my ears, is like a maturation of what Kanye wanted to do on Yeezus. It is rough around the edges, it's weird, but at the same time it's funky and it's beautiful. A lot of people who have reviewed this album before have a tendency to say that, the lyrics on this record is just horrible because they're not that deep, they're not that high of a quality. And I can kind of agree to that. I can see that in some of the songs, and you can probably see that for yourself. There's a lot of superficial things here. But in general, I think the sound of the album, it kind of outweighs the things that it lacks in terms of the lyrics. I feel like there's so much quality and so much replay value in this album. For example, what I really enjoyed was the simplicity of tracks like FML and Feedback, the sometimes random, but at the same time cool intermissions that come here and there. And also specifically the shortness of the tracks here are really something that adds another level to this record. It sounds amazing. The fact that the tracks are very short makes it a lot more interesting because the patterns, the melodies, the intermissions, it all just comes at you so instantly and so fast, and that leaves me wanting more, and it leaves me interested in listening to the album for several times. In terms of the sound of the whole album, Kanye is kind of casting out new melodies, new stuff that you wouldn't expect for every single song that you listen to. And at the same time, he manages to package it together in a really, really good way. When listening to the album, after listening like 6 or 7 times, it feels like he really put some thought into the listing of the tracks because it kind of flows very good together. Another thing that I find interesting about this record, and that I really find just totally positive is that there are so many featured artists here, so many composers, no, producers as well. Some of the artists are Frank Ocean, Chance the Rapper, Sia, The Weeknd, and all of these individual artists, they manage to bring forth the best of themselves, and they really just spice up the whole record and makes it so much better. That's the only way I can explain it. It kind of added another level of novelty to the record. There's always something new, as I said before, and it's like chocolate in your mouth. It just melts, or chocolate in your ear, or whatever you want to say. Now, usually when I check out new albums, I usually find some bad tracks and I find some good tracks. There's like an equal amount of both. When I first put on this album, during the first listen, one of the tracks that I didn't like at all was Low Lights. I kind of find it to be just annoying. Why is it there, you know? Because it's this woman talking about or giving away her testimony about her life and how God has treated her so well. I just felt like it was a bit lengthy and it was a bit too much. And, I don't have anything against her talking about God. There's so many different references on various songs on this album towards God and the artist's, maybe Kanye West's relationship to God. I don't know. Ultralight Beam, Father Stretch My Hands Out, and Wolves are examples of tracks where God is mentioned. I don't know. I didn't really look into the lyrics, but I just wanted to put that out there. Highlights, the track that comes after Lowlights, is another track that I really didn't find that interesting. It wasn't as strong as the other tracks in my view, because I don't know, the rapping style and the beats and just everything about the song seems a bit less quality. I don't know, it wasn't that catchy and it wasn't that interesting. So if it was up to me, I would love to just have Kanye cutting that song out of the album, because it didn't really add that much at the end of the day. Now, Wolves is another track that I didn't really like at first, and I've kind of come to like it a bit, but it's still a weaker track in my view. I mean, the falsetto choir boy who comes in and sings the melody in the start of the song makes the whole song a very, very epic. I feel like it's building up to something in the start, like this is gonna be good. But at the same time, the song kind of misses this whole point and doesn't carry out what is promised. It just feels like Kanye wants to drag this epicness and this whole charade out through the whole song and kind of fails in doing that. He is milking the melody. The clenchy instrumentals are just horrible. Kanye's auto-tuned vocals are horrible, and yeah, that's it. It's just horrible. But what I instantly noticed and what I instantly liked was the transition between Wolves and Frank Ocean's track, or Frank's track, that's what it's called. Both of these tracks are built up on somewhat of the same melody, but the difference is that Frank's track is a lot more mellow, a lot more chill and simplistic, and I don't know, for me, it's just a lot better compared to the earlier song. So in my point of view, it would be much better if you had just excluded Wolves and just kept Frank's track, because it's chill and it's simplistic. It would be a great intermission, a great short track. I think it's about like 1 minute in length or something like that. It's cool. It's good. Okay, so here's the juice. The last 3 tracks on the album are Fade, Facts, and Saint Pablo, I think the last song is called. And the thing is that I really didn't like these songs when I first listened to the albums. During the first or the second listen, I believe, I didn't get a taste for it. I thought Facts was a crazy ass track that, I don't know, I just didn't like it. And Fade was kind of weird, a bit overly sampled maybe. And Saint Pablo, that didn't clash with me either, really. But the thing about these songs, what I discovered is that for me, they're growers. They make the whole album grow on me. And what I've learned over the time when I've listened to a lot of music is that these growers actually add a lot of value to the album. If you let a song grow on you, if you listen to it for 4, 5, 6 times, the album through, or the particular songs, they grow on you and you end up liking the album much more because you kind of learned to like the tracks, and that's that's an amazing feeling. There's really not much more I wanted to say about this album. I really love the intermissions and the interludes that are kind of random. I really like those because, as well as those earlier tracks that I mentioned, they add another layer of depth and just quality to the album. You end up wanting to listen to it more and more. A few examples of these random intermissions are during the end of the track part 2, when you hear this Daft Punk-ish voice just randomly coming into the song. It was kind of, I don't know, shocking and very, very unexpected, but kind of like it. And also creepy, distorted, disharmonious ending of FML. Wow, that just, I don't know, I have no words. These intermissions are very off the cuff, they're very unexpected, but they give you this drip of resistance. It's like Kanye knew that he had good material coming up on this album, but he didn't want to give it to you straight up. He wanted you to kind of work a little bit for it. He wanted you to invest a little bit more time in listening to this album. You need to invest some time in order to find the hidden treasures, so to speak. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I would compare it to a great smoothie, although this is not great. It's been in my fridge for some time, but you know, it's like a really, really, really amazing smoothie. That is what I would compare this album to, also known as a 9 out of 10. Alright, thank you so much for watching, guys. What do you think? What do you feel? What do you have to say about this album? Please feel free to share with us in the comments below, alright? And if you have any suggestions on what I should review next time, then please share that in the comments as well, alright? I hope we can build a great community where we can all just talk together, spread ideas about great music, and yeah, I hope to discover a lot more awesome music in the following months to come. So yeah, thank you so much for joining our journey, and take care. Have a good Christmas. Bye bye.